Thanks, Fred. But yeah, I think we give up a lot more of this today under this trend line. And that's going to be kind of the point in which determines the bounce or the drop. And again, news. So drop in here real quick. Put this back on there. Pretty good hold. Go to the NQ this time. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's basically what I'm going to end up doing for the most part today is hang on and see if just after open, because maybe the open today is a little more lackadaisical, like mute, like without like a big move. Like yesterday, the open just dropped straight out as soon as market opened up, and dropped out, and then yeah, today we've got news that's 15 minutes after open, and it's our PMI news that's really affected the euro and pound, which also is was affecting the dollar. So we'll see if the dollar gives back a lot of those gains, um, depending on the numbers. And yeah, it could set up a pretty good ends trade. Fighting not getting into a trade right now. Missed the initial drop, obviously. Kind of wanting to see this come up, maybe consolidate a little more and start pushing down again, and then target the structure line. Yeah, I haven't taken a trade around here in a pretty while at this time of day. Yeah, this would have probably been the better shallow setup where we popped through those highs and then immediately rejected down, kind of grinded back into that fair value gap right there. Hindsight's always easy to spot. But the fact that we haven't given up a whole lot this morning to the dollar's reaction to those news and stuff, like 330. Yeah. Is that move. But it's almost hard to trust one going down. Are we just kind of hanging around? But I think we definitely retest this structure right here. What was that about? Almost 10 points from where it's sitting right now. Yeah. Yeah, depending on where you this would definitely be the OTE from down here. Depending on where you pull your a little bit further than what I thought. I'm just gonna call them out. I'm not gonna take the trades. I'm just gonna say this is gonna happen because I feel like as soon as I enter that trade, it's gonna reverse. I'll just let y'all know what's going on. Kind of like yesterday, the entire day set up exactly the way I wanted to, even on the ES. Let me go back to it. That's what was so frustrating about yesterday is that it did exactly what I wanted it to do. We broke out of those highs right here and then sold off into the area where I wanted it to sell off to. Like, yeah. And I took three trades yesterday, two trades yesterday. It got chopped up. Yeah. And I don't think like, especially the first trade, that was like it never even I wasn't even in profit at any point in time. Yeah, this was coming down. There it was, man. Definitely a good setup right there. Didn't really come back into and give you any kind of unless you went to the 3 minute chart and then you had an entry. 5 minute chart didn't really give you much of an entry. If you're looking for that, fair value gap entry, there's a liquidity void right there that was perfectly touched all the way back into this body. Yeah, yesterday was kind of a frustrating day, but in hindsight, the analysis was good. It's just one of those days that it just didn't give you on the instrument that I was using with the NQ. It just did not give you a clean um a clean move. Even though it went in the direction that we wanted it to, even in here, you know, we were short and it went in the direction that we wanted it to. it just pulled back further, taking out stops. And then it did it again, a little bit later. So right there, it came all the way down to just about that structure. It's a pretty good line to keep. That's the only reason why I stretched it out, because we were still kind of respecting it in these areas, like where the bodies are, the wick, wicks, and bodies. So that's the reason why I hadn't deleted that line. You look at it even on the higher time frames. You see how we're respecting it. We're respecting it here. Let me zoom in on that for y'all. Right here. So could be a good place for some consolidation, maybe a little bounce, maybe give us something to enter again. But we do have liquidity situated right here. So we get like a full on rejection, probably pop up here. It seems like the dollar still. Yeah, no, see, it's slowing down. This dotted line. Yeah, that's that it's the bottom of this wick right here. So just it's just structure. And where I put these dotted lines, you know, right here and then right here. Basically, it's where, like, when price starts working its way down here, I'll probably put a dotted line on this guy. And the reason being, let me just go ahead and put it there. The reason is because this is where price pushed and kind of broke some structure and then created like a low, um, or had a significant move down, right? So this is just kind of an area where there could be some liquidity situated above it. And if you look just to the right of it, you see what price did just above it, right? We really kind of got nasty right in there before pushing out. Um, this could be a decent little dotted line here too. And as you can see how price interacted with it. And the reason being is, we had consolidation right here. We broke above it. We made a lower low right there after creating this high. So liquidity situated above it. You see what happens to the right of it. It's respected. So the fact that price has done that, there's no reason why it may not do it again, right? I mean, there's no reason why it shouldn't do it again. So, and it's not necessarily this is the line that I'm looking to trade off of. This is a target. These are mainly targets. I want to get into a trade. Like, say we start breaking up, we break higher, right? It gives me a reason to go long. This is a target. So I'm not necessarily looking for price to get here and then bounce and take a short from. I mean, that's a possibility, but for the most part, like, I want to see these breaks through. And then if I have a reason to go short here, these are where my eyes are going for a target. So again, if you were to get in down in here, as you can see, this would have been a good place to get out because we started consolidating to the right. Yeah, we broke higher, but there was, where price, this is an hour chart. It spent 4 hours right here before we broke through. When price comes down and touches, we did that 4 straight hourly candles right there before we decided to move up. So, I mean, it's just significant areas, where price tends to push from. And I like them on the 15-minute chart and the hourly chart. Definitely, let me just back that up. I like them on the higher time frames. Like this right here. Right, we're on the 15-minute chart. Didn't really see that on the hourly here. So you push that through. I don't want too many of them in a row because you could literally stack them on top of each other. Like there could be one right here, but that's the Monday high. Right. But look how it's reacting to it. Got down to it, immediately bounced off of it. This could be one, but I've got one right here and I've got the Monday high. So I don't need that many lines. I don't want it to get too noisy. So again, if it works its way all the way down here, right, and gives me a reason to go long, the Monday high is going to be my target, not necessarily this. But even on the ES, these lines tend to hold some importance. This is way back. I know that one's way back. Yeah, we don't even have. Let's go to the daily. Is it on the weekly? Yeah, it's a weekly. And again, the reason there's one here is because we broke some structure, got to a point, and immediately rejected down, creating a new low. So that just becomes an important part. What happens when price gets to it? We're coming up with momentum. As soon as we kind of push through it a little bit, we start consolidating right on it. And then this candle actually, I think, touches it. This guy right here. And I'm thinking on a lower time frame, like that was like a perfect touch and a bounce. Almost. So obviously they're not exact, but they're pretty good. Like you see, this one comes in. You see how prices the last few days we come up to it. We went through it, but we closed on it. Open, popped up, came all the way back down. We stayed around it, and now right now we're interacting with it one more time. See what's going to happen there. Yeah. But I think, for the most part, body's respecting it. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you can get like a wick down into it, but for the most part, and it's not necessarily like body's respecting it or wicks, we get like a wick, tip of the wick touching it or whatever. It's just how price is reacting around it. Right. Because nothing's going to be exact. for the most part. There's a lot of times when it is, but nothing's going to be exact. Like this is really close. None of these wicks actually close or stop right on it. This one's pretty close. So, there's times when they are pretty good, but for the most part, it's just an area in which I'm looking at, and I don't use zones. Like I don't want to put a box around it and trade the zone part of it, right? I want an exact marker, and then I can visually trade around it. But yeah, so that's really what I like to use them for. That's the reason yesterday this was the area in which I wanted price to come down to, but we had liquidity just below it, so I didn't expect it to stop here. We just had liquidity below it. So I was thinking price would come down into here, and we did come all the way down to the median. But as price comes down to it, you see how it slows down and then it reacts to it again. So, but today and tomorrow's and Fridays, I think we're going to be a little bit more news driven. We're going to get some, I think, pops and then consolidation. Next week's news is non-farm. So next week's news is going to be even bigger with unemployment claims and non-farm payroll and GDP. So, maybe today or the next couple of days, the rest of this week, we're going to get like, we may end up with a lot of this with moments of that, right? Like more of this, but then every now and then you're going to see like a drop, especially on the NASDAQ. So just, stay disciplined and work whatever plan you're working with and, you know, mitigate your risk as best as possible. But I think today, Fred, I will wait for the ends trade. If an ends trade sets up, and it may set up perfectly around 10, between 10 and 11 after the 9:45 news. But if we do get an ends trade at the news at 9:45, then yeah, I'll probably trade it. Hey, take it easy, man. You're welcome. Be here again tomorrow. Do it one more time this week. Yeah. We'll go ahead and call it. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good day. Be safe. See you, Kyle. Keep crushing it, man. A little bit more analysis now on the dollar. Um, Losing momentum right in here after all that news. Probably end up retracing back into this daily open. Waiting on either the news at 9:45 to see what happens. If it falls in line with the rest of uh, PMIs in Europe and the pound, then this should be a pretty bearish move, possibly back down into this trend and even this wedge. Let me go 4 hour. Yeah. Possibly giving up most, if not all, those gains. And I can see that. Um, if so, it'll give back a lot right in here for the euro USD. Um, you can see, like I said, we've got consolidation here, a lot of liquidity that we just dove down into pretty sharply, using news to do it. But right after that, it's just nothing, right? We're just kind of grinding in a certain area. And honestly, we're just kind of building up for some type of retracement. Now, whether that retracement, continues and then we grind out of this, taking out that buy side, working our way back into this Monday range, which are these three blue lines. That's just kind of determines on the news that comes out for the dollar. I don't see a lot more downside right now until that happens. So, NASDAQ, again, we're right here at this structure. I do feel like this is going to be a little more bearish. We're going to give back some more of this. We talked about the OTE. If we go to the bottom of that right there, bring it all the way up, that OTE kind of puts you right in this area, which if you really want to get, even further technical, you can go right in here, give yourself a mean threshold to look at, and that's right on the 6.2. So that OTE might be a pretty good place to see price, kind of dive down into. If it's not around the news that comes up, if it gets there pretty soon, then you could possibly take some trades out of this OTE area for a nice little move back to the top side, into this imbalance. Moving average should be probably right around in there, so that might be a good little clip, decent little scalp. And then if the news happens to get dicey for the dollar and the markets do have a nice little turnaround, then, I mean, quite honestly, you've got a high here, you've got a high here. We've got a structure that's well above it. I don't think we end up here today because of news, and I don't think we end up here today because of news. I think we do have to get a little lower before we make a move back up this high. I think it has to come back down, grab some more of that liquidity. We did that yesterday. We built up some right here, some nice structure right there that it bounced off of and held. I say bounced off of, but nice structure that it came down to below that liquidity, and kind of held here most of the afternoon before now moving back up. So I really do think, and if we zoom in, this structure, this line's pretty much the same. And this would be a decent little spot for price to kind of consolidate and give us a move out of. So again, on a news day with PMI today, you've got Harker speaking tomorrow for FOMC. You've also got unemployment claims and durable goods. And then Friday, you've got Fed Chair Powell speaking at 10, and Harker again speaking two different times, with some news before. Lagarde speaking at 3 p.m. close to market close on Friday afternoon. Next week being non-farm, I don't see a whole lot of action coming out of these areas, right? So I think the overall range stays intact. I just don't see a lot of action. This is a pretty solid move to the downside, and we're just kind of grinding back up. So, like I keep telling everybody in the community, just you've got some highs and lows, you've got some ranges being set. If we're breaking highs, look for those continuation candles that will allow you to get in to trades, or look for breaks of structure to the downside that will then, or upside too, that allow you to start looking for those entries. Don't just assume that it's going to keep going, because market doesn't go in one direction all the time. So just be careful. We got news over the next days, and a couple of days, and then next week's a big news week. So anyways, be careful out there. Have a good one. Thanks for watching. We'll see.